favorite people, man. Y'all already know your boy is about to start this track. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you comment in that chat. Let us know you in the building. You feel me? Until then, let's go ahead and get it popping, baby.
That boy turned me up in Piazza.
Where's the nearest police station?
Opposite the church, 2 minutes walk.
Suppose I walk there now.
What would you tell them?
Everything.
Everything. All about Mr. Adams and Mr. Wilson.
I should simply tell them that you're trying to blackmail me into
Into
murder.
I'm a nightmare walking, psychopath talking. Push of a button, I could put you in a coffin. Can't got me coughing at the light, sitting next to 12. Nipsey Blue on that Chevy, slapping loud as hell. Sir rockin' ginger ale. Fingerprint on every bullet shit. Play with choppers, break them off, lizard tail. Can't go to jail, I take an L, do dirt all by myself. On the scale top shelf, pushing like a turf. Surf it to you with some newspaper. Solar fade, heavy rapper, starburst, baggy, ziplocks for yell, I swear it all works. Don't try to get the kick, don't try to get the kick, don't try to get the kick, don't try to get the kick.
Y'all already know, man. It's your favorite neighborhood and your best bully god. You already know. It's your boy. We in the building with my good brother, Dark Xilver. And I'm gonna let him wait for him to get back right here. He over there controlling the dogs real quick. But yeah, we in the building, y'all. Let me know who up in the chat, y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe.
All right.
Go ahead and let them know who you are, good brother.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Rain. I'm the owner and operator of Dark Silver LLC. Not just a kennel. I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm not even I'm not a kennel. I'm not a breeder. You know, I deal with a lot of animals. For anybody that knows me and follows my channel, you know, I do exotics and I do domestics. I just consider myself a person that just loves animals in general. So necessarily wouldn't call myself a breeder, but I do breed. But you know, I pretty much only breed animals for myself, first and foremost to improve on what I'm doing. But that's kind of me in a nutshell, man. You know, I deal with everything, man. I try to put my hands in everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today, this interview is very exclusive because this good brother right here, he interviewed me on his channel, man. Go ahead and shout out your YouTube channel, family.
Oh yeah, so it's the Canis Codex, Kanis, and then Codex Kodex on YouTube, and then you can find me on Instagram, Dark Silver Canary Prey Dogs.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Definitely
sir.
subscribe to that codex, man. There's a lot of good detailed information in there, breed profiles, reaction videos. You're not gonna find another channel really like it, man. You know, like I said, breed profiles, interviews, you know, breed topics, whatever you can think of is there, man. I'm basically just building up what is called a codex, a canine codex.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So pretty much before we even dive into dogs, let them know something about yourself. Let them know where you originated from, where you grew up and stuff like that. Like how'd you come about to become the person you are today, brother?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast, man, in DC, the DMV area, uptown. But my beginnings with animals started when I was about 4 or 5. My family had a farm, um, so I was there 4 and 5, you know, feeding chickens, whelping litters, you know, watching them, you know, crossbreed dogs, trying to make them better cattle dogs for the farm, you know, things like that. Horseback riding, like you know, I came up with all of that stuff. So, uh, you know, my mom and my grandmother used to bring home snakes and stuff for me. My mom would come home from college. She'd come home with jars and garter snakes, praying mantises that she caught. So from day one, It's been there. My family had bred Old English sheepdogs, German Shepherd Collie mixes. Um, you know, see what else? Birds. My mom was obsessed with birds. Those were some of the first pets that I had were birds. Eclectus, parakeets, bungees, stuff like that. So like I said, from day one, and as I got older, it just progressed. But it was more so I was trying to dive into the exotics real deep at a young age. My family wasn't really with that reptile shit. So, I was very limited when I could get reptiles. So I had to sneak a lot of stuff in. I had a big walk-in closet and I would hide like little terrariums, little 5 and 10 gallon terrariums in there when I couldn't. I would always get caught because my aunt kept her clothes in there. She'd go in there in the morning. Like, what the hell is this in this cage? Oh, you better get that out of here. Like, if I see that again, that's your ass. Like,
And we all
stuff
done deal
like
with
that.
stuff like that growing up, bro. Real talk. We all done deal
So
with stuff like that.
But yeah, I mean, I was a camp counselor at a school that I went to that was like way deep in the woods. You wouldn't even know that it was a school. It sat on like 50 or 60 acres of land. So they had horseback riding programs, archery. We had ponds out there. If you sitting there doing your math homework, a herd of deer walk by, like that type of shit. So it's just animals have always been there with me. And I really can't think of anything else that I would rather be doing. I was a chef for 9 years in DC, but even in the midst of that, still animals, running an exotic animal rescue, doing some training. I used to do pet locator service for people who were looking for good dogs and things like that back in the day. 13, I was teaching adult classes at the Botanical Gardens in DC, volunteering at the National Zoo and the reptile exhibit. So, again, I stress to people all the time, like, some people say, oh, it's my hobby. It's a hobby. And that's cool. It can be a hobby. But for me, it's life. It's not a hobby. You know what I mean? It's nothing hobby about what I'm doing. This is an everyday, all day thing. Even if I wasn't in my new breeding program now, I would still have animals here. Like when you called me earlier, I'm like, man, I got to clean some cobra poop up.
Hell
People
yeah.
they laugh or they think I'm joking when I say that. And I'm like, no, dude, I have the largest species of of cobra that you can, true cobra that you can own. I got a 9 foot cobra in my house. I've
Hey,
had many
hey,
of
you
them.
hey, you a true one for that one, bro. Cause I ain't gonna lie, you ain't gonna see me with no cover. You might catch me with a python or a boa or something, you feel me? But you ain't gonna catch me with nothing like that, bro. But
So,
shout out
but
to the good brother AJ at the shoulder. Peace and salute, famo. You already know. It's all blessings, famo. The good brother, he said, yeah, he shouting you out in there, famo.
who was that? I can't
That's a
see. I can't.
that's that push more, and you should it should show you the chat.
Let me see. This is my first live. I ain't never done a
It
live
would
on
say it's gonna say private. It's gonna say private chat, and it's
private.
gonna say comments.
Okay. All right. Cool. I see it now. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, that's my dude. He every video.
Yeah, yeah. He a good
every
brother right
every
there.
video.
Yeah, he a
Every
good brother.
video.
He show a lot of support in the community. Family, real talk. I see him everywhere.
Mhm.
Hell yeah. Make sure y'all share this video out, man. Let's get some more people up in here, man. Let's show some love for the good brother, man. And if y'all have any questions, drop some questions in the chat, and I'll get right to them. So I ask the good brother for y'all. But other than that, bro, so growing up, you was already around animals and stuff like that. You was doing different little avenues that kind of led you up to things. When did you first get your first dog, your own dog?
Man. So the first dog that I ever had that was mine was a German Shepherd Collie mix that my uncle gave me. One that they were breeding on the farm. And man, I love that dog. It was an ugly dog though, but I didn't care. I was a kid. I loved that dog. And that, like I said, that just pushed me into like, okay, well, these dudes, they're crossing two different breeds. So at that age, I'm thinking like, man, I didn't know you could do that. I thought they had to be the same. So once I started figuring out what was really going on, I started diving deeper into it. But yeah, German Shepherd Collie was actually the first dog that I had that I was walking on a leash as a child. And then my brother
Okay,
started getting pit bulls, and so it just went from there.
oh, that's decent. That's decent. So when you got into the pit bulls, were well, you say your brother got into the pit bulls. Were you involved with him with the pit bulls, or was that just his thing?
In the beginning, it was him because he had a lot of dogs too. German Shepherds, game dogs, Jack Russell Terriers, and then we lived next door to a Bordeaux breeder, so they had six Bordeaux's. So like I said, even just getting to see them on the other side of the fence, and my brother would talk about the breed and things like that. So my aunt, when I was living in D.C., she wouldn't let me get a quote unquote pit bull terrier, but American Staffordshire Terrier was okay because she didn't know the
Okay.
difference, or the similarities between the dogs, and that because anybody who knows that all Amstaffs come off of Tudor and Colby lines, so they're just show line American Pit Bull Terriers, different pheno.
Right.
So we went to go get an Amstaff, and I remember we drove down to a kennel deep in Maryland. This lady had like 60 dogs out there, man. They were beautiful, and we found a nice one, man, but wasn't able to get it because my uncle, who she was married to at the time, worked for this county, and the county had just put this ban up against pit bull terriers in PG County. So anything that had bull in it, you couldn't have. So my aunt was like, I don't care, I'm gonna get the dog anyway. He's like, nah, you gonna make me lose my job, da 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 da. So I ended up getting that dog. Um, I ended up actually grabbing Connie Corsos. Man, this was the mid to late '90s when this was going on. But I had got introduced to the Pressa before I got introduced to the Connie Corso, and I always wanted a Pressa, but there weren't really a ton of them available. Wasn't a lot of information in English about them, and things like that. And I got introduced to them through a dog encyclopedia in the Carl Seminci books. Once I saw them, I was hooked. I didn't want anything else, but I couldn't get what I wanted, so I kind of had to settle for
For the Cane
what was
Corso.
available. Yeah, so I grabbed a Connie. I remember a solid blue boy, some Candifio stuff, and then my homies went and got them from the same people, and I ended up with all their dogs in my yard because they couldn't handle the dogs. And this, like I said, this was 98, 99. So those dogs look totally different than they do now. And we're talking about American Connie Corso. We're not even talking about true Connie Corso. We're not talking about the Italian dog. I've never owned. Well, I've been told that I had an Italian dog, and it might have been a half and half, but I don't know. I didn't stay with the Corsos for too long. They just wasn't a breed for me. Once I got my first presser, but in between that time, I had a lot of pit bull terriers, a lot of pit bull terriers.
Shit, run it down for him,
Niggerino
fam.
stuff, Niggerino, Mason Hog dog. I got duped out of a Niggerino dog into guy told me he had some Corvino dogs, and they probably weren't. But I was in high school, and I talked about this on my Battle Break Canine interview. And I drove
We
Hoss
we
up there
we
to
we
meet
didn't
him.
talked about it. We talked about it before we did
Yeah,
my
we
interview
talked.
too.
Yeah, and I kind of got duped into it, and then when I got the dogs home, I was like, man, these Corvino dog, but it was too late. The deal was done. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you
I would
you
have been
live and you
pissed, fam.
learn.
I would
Yeah,
have been
you
pissed.
you live and you learn. Yeah, I sold those dogs quick. I kept one. I remember her name was Foxy, a little fawn dog. She was a good dog. I kept her for a little while, and then I had another dog. She was real weird looking, had like a pinkish tone to her coat, real light colored eyes. They call that a lilac now. But back
Yeah,
then, that lilac, that color, that
we
name,
we
that
we
didn't
we known
exist
that
back
shit
then.
as we known Fawn as fucking champagne for years.
Right. So it was, things definitely were different back then. But yeah, I was heavy into the game dogs, man. And I started traveling overseas to, see matches and things like that. Going to places in Tennessee. Obviously I can't say the names, but because I'm sure a couple of those places still exist. But yeah, you know, going to places where matching dogs was legal, or not that necessarily even if it wasn't legal, they just didn't care. The Philippines, Russia, places like that. Seeing these things, these events take place. I was hooked, and eventually I got my first presser, and after that I didn't want another dog after that. That was the dog for me. It had everything I needed. It wasn't too leggy, had good bone. They were game. But they were versatile, kind of like a pit. Pit bulls are very versatile, but they're some of them, the real good game dogs, are extremely people friendly. I know a lot of guys that
Right.
got game dogs and they got
Yeah,
other
you could
dogs,
you could
mastiffs,
walk up
guarding
to
their dogs. Yeah,
you could walk up and take a pic.
yeah, that happened to me several times. I had guys jumping in the backyard stealing puppies, and my older dogs wouldn't do anything about it. They showing them where the puppies are. Like, yeah, they're over there in the shed.
Yeah, I'd have been. Oh yeah. Oh boy, I'd have got me a massive quick.
So, Yeah, like I said,
But
I know guys that use other dogs to guard their yard
so
full of pit bulls.
let's break down the where the where the Persian Canal originates from, because you actually been to these islands.
Yeah, I went there twice actually. So they're from the Canary Islands, two of the main islands of the seven islands there, Tenerife and Gran Canaria. Is where they originated. Now, the current Presa is a recreation. It is not the original dog, contrary to what a couple people are trying to say. I don't know how they're getting that off, but whatever. So the dog was pretty much extinct. There were a few pure specimens left, in the 60s and 70s, and they used those dogs and bred them with the native dog, the Bardino Mahuero, to recreate the dog that you see now, along with Amstaffs, Bull Terriers, Neapolitans, Bordeaux, Great Danes, Dobermans, a whole Fila Brasileira, a whole host of dogs. So that's why you see so many different phenotypes. Like I just showed you three different phenotypes of the same breed in my yard, and they all
Right.
have similar aspects. The way they walk, the way they carry themselves, and things like that. But yeah, so the dog was recreated. Manuel Curto was given the go ahead by the island, by the legislation there to recreate the dog in 1974. So in 1977, he had his first litter was of a dog named Piba, and I think the other dog's name was Bobby. I could be wrong on the father's name, but the mother was Piba, and she kind of looks like one of the bitches that I had, but even small. I mean, this dog couldn't have been any more than 35 pounds, 40 at the most. I mean, she was a tiny dog, and
Are you
yeah, so she was
serious?
real, yeah, real small. I got pictures of her, real small. So that was the first.
So so check this out, right? Back in the day, I was probably about 15, bro. You know how cane corsos are all tall now, right?
Yeah,
I saw a fucking cane corso female that was fucking small, like short, bro.
yeah. There's a
You could
few
you
the
could
Italian
clearly you
dogs.
could you could you could clearly see the same phenotype, the face, everything. It's just this dog was fucking short.
Yeah, the Italian dogs are a lot smaller than the American dogs. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation because they're not the same dog ultimately. And then you
Right.
have to go in and talk about the Cani de Presa and what the Cani de Presa really is, because a lot of people have misconceptions about the Neapolitan, the Cane Corso, and the Cani de Presa.
Right.
Ultimately, even the Sicilian Mastiff, which is another name that I got introduced to just a couple years ago from a guy in Italy walking to what I look like the original pictures when you look up Kanye de Preston. That's what his dogs look like. This dude was straight from Sicily. We're in D.C. and I'm just walking down the street and I see him with these two gorgeous black dogs. They were brothers, solid black. The ears weren't trimmed, the tails weren't docked. And I started talking to him, and he, like I said, he was from Sicily. And I started talking to him about the Kanye de Preston. Now, mind what I'm saying. This guy was from Italy and had never heard of the words Kanye de Preston. So you got a guy from Italy that don't even know this history. And so he thought I was full of shit. And so, he didn't really want to talk to me. And about a week later, I ran into him again and he apologized to me because he went home and researched what I said. And I said, yeah, man, I've been to Italy several times, for the World Dog shows and things like that and just traveling over there. So I wouldn't just tell you something that you couldn't go and research yourself. And I'm big on that. Like I
Yeah.
give out a lot of information, but the information that I give you, you can go and see it. I'm not just telling
Yeah.
you some shit and then we moving on to the next thing because I
Yeah.
don't want you to go and check it.
You're not just talking out of your asshole. You feel me? You actually experienced and seen these things with your own two eyes. You feel me? So
So yeah,
that's why that's why I wanted you to break that down for the people that don't know.
yeah, it's so the dog is like I said, it's a reconstruction, and there's not many lines of Presa Canaria. There's not even a lot of people line breeding. There's only a couple people. Um, and there's got people who say that they're line breeding, but then when you ask them about their program, that's not line breeding. You're just doing a
Right.
bunch of outcrosses. Um, but yeah, so there was a lot of conflict with the Pressa as well because then it went through a name change, similar to what happened with the American Pit Bull Terrier and the Amstaff. Very similar situation. They changed the name to Dogo Canario to be more politically correct because Pressa refer to the fight or to the dogs that grip or that catch and hold prey. The same way that Pit in American Pit Bull Terrier refers to a dog that was a match dog. So they changed it to American Staffordshire Terrier. It's the same thing they did with the Pressa. They changed it to Dogo Canario, and then the standard changed a little bit, but that brought some controversy on. I don't know, if anybody saw them. I know these two guys saw it. The 2.5 hour presentation I did on the Dogo Canario versus the Pressa Canario. There is no separate breed called Dogo Canario. Like, that's bullshit. People just need to drop, and I proved it. So, it's not even really an argument. I think a lot of people do that because they're not happy with what they had. So, but there was a name change, and then they ended up changing the name back to Pressa Canario. I think about 10 years later, about 10 or so years later, it got changed back to Perro de Pressa Canario, but they kept the standard that they had. So a lot of people in the islands were upset about that. So they didn't want to register their dogs with FCI anymore. So they started going to UKC. Your mic is out. You muted your mic.
I see a few Pressa Canaros. There's one that lives directly right around the corner from my house. He's probably about 2 years old, bro. This dog's probably like a 200-pound fucking dog. Makes my male dog look like a fucking puppy. Um, and then another one is he's a little 3-month-old pup I just did the air crop on. One of my homeboys, he wouldn't purchase the dog, and the lady told him that it was a Cane Corso. Now, me knowing dogs, I know this dog is clearly a Pressa Canero, you feel me? But I'm not going to tell my homeboy, bro, you got a Pressa Canero, you feel me? Because he believes he has a Cane Corso, you feel me? I don't want to look
Right.
like, I don't want to look like the nigga, he'd be like, oh, bro, you think you know everything type shit, you feel me? So,
Yeah, I've been there before many times.
yeah, so I'm going to just let bro, once the dog get full grown, then I'll probably be like, look, bro, this is what you got, you feel me? I show him actual video footage and show him fucking dogs that look just like his dog, you feel me?
Right. Yeah,
But
200 pounds, man. That's a massive presser. I mean, I've seen a couple, 170, 180, but I breed my dogs to the Las Palmas standard, and that standard for males and females combined is 84 to 106 pounds max. I mean, this is a fighting dog first and foremost. It's not a guard dog.
right,
It is a guard dog now. It can be a guard dog. It can be a working dog. It can work the field. It does work the fields, but ultimately, this dog was created to fight other dogs. That's what
right.
it was created to do. Ultimately,
And that's what
um,
they're. I don't know if you heard about that. That this is probably some years back, bruh, some years ago. Um, it was some white guys. They were training Presa Caneros as fighting dogs, and they handed them. They were in jail, and
yeah,
they
you're talking
handed these
about Bane
dogs.
and yeah, I know Bane and I forget the female's name, and they killed a lady in the apartments. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
on everything.
so so that's funny that you bring that up because so there was a lady in Canada and her kennel name was Werewolf Kennel, right?
Right,
And she tried to take credit for those dogs to say that those were her dogs to try to sell more dogs. But she didn't have presses. She didn't have presses from the Canary Islands anyway. She had Canadian prey dogs. She was crossing Neapolitans and pit bulls with with all kind of other stuff. And she had some nice looking dogs up there, but they weren't presses. But that's what she was selling them at. She sell you a dog for $10,000 with no breeding rights. But after she tried to take credit for those two dogs, she got banned from Dog Fancy and Dog World magazine. Those magazines, I don't even think those magazines exist anymore. She wasn't allowed to post in there anymore. After that, she tried to take credit for that shit.
damn. Salute to the good brother Tony M, man. Salute to the good brother Samurai Kennels Williams. Oh, Yeller Dogs, man. That's my good brother up
Yeah,
in
what's
there,
going
man.
on?
Yeah, my people's up in here, man. Salute to my peoples, man. They up in this joint, man. Yeah, man. We up in this joint. Y'all already know, man. Salute to my peoples, man. I appreciate y'all being here, man. If y'all got any questions for the good brother, go ahead and drop some questions for the good brother, man. And I'll get right to it, famo. Um, so we're based off what we were just going off right there with that. So the Pescanero is pretty much bred to be a fighting dog.
Right. In Carl Semincy's book, he described in one of his books he described his experience because remember Carl Semincy was the first person to ever take pictures of canary dogs outside of the Canary Islands. He went to the islands to meet canary dog breeders and he took pictures and it was so I have those pictures. They're in anyone who has that book has seen them. Those were the first pictures that anyone had ever seen of the dogs outside of the island. And the main thing that he said, my experience with the Presa Canario in its native land is one that is extremely game. Um, you know, and I detail a lot of that in my presentation. They still match this dog, especially in Asia. They still match this dog for sure. But yeah, ultimately that's what it was for. But they, like I said, they would also use it to with train cattle, guard and things like that. Obviously the dog is, fighting is not legal in most places. So
Right,
what else can you? Either the dog's not going to exist, or you're going to have to find another purpose for the animal.
right. Either it's hog hunting or shit, it's
Right,
family protection.
right.
Yep.
So,
Because that's all you can do nowadays. You feel me? Put your dog on a sleeve or put your dog on a hawk.
but it's a breed that really stands alone, and I always say that because you can't find many dogs that you can really compare to the Pressa when you really break down and get to the nitty gritty of the dog. I mean, even the structure. There's only one
Would
other
you
dog that has a
would
structure
you
like that.
would you say the Dogo Argentina will come second
Well,
to
the
that
Dogo
dog?
that's my favorite breed of dog, even before the Pressa is a Dogo Argentino. So I know, obviously a great deal about it. I actually, the breed profile for Dogo Argentino drops tomorrow. So make sure y'all check that out.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Dogo Argentino is kind of in its own class in a way. They do have some similarities because, you know, the old Cordoba fighting dog was the base dog for the Dogo Argentino. So again, you have another game dog that we're talking about here. But,
Right.
um, that dog is it's in a both of these breeds are in a class of their own, in my opinion. But the dogo, the dogo is super intelligent. I mean, Pressers have a high IQ, one of the highest. But dogos are extremely smart. They're great hunters. They can work in packs. Yeah, I know Michael Morales. Me and him don't really get along, but we agree on some things and disagree on other things. Um, but the dogo, it came about because of so many failed attempts for hunting. Um, so it's doing a totally different line of work, but they are same-sex aggressive, especially with the male, because of that fighting dog that was bred into them, as the base dog. Um, so what did he say? How would I compare to American Bulldog or Tosa? Um, I probably wouldn't compare an American Bulldog. Leave it to a Pressa. Tosa, I could probably do some comparisons. I mean, they're both fighting dogs, and obviously Scott type American
I-
Bulldogs. They did use them for matching. Um,
Isn't
but
that Tosa isn't that Tosa Unu still in the massive type breeds too?
yeah, yeah, and it's still a dog that's still being fought in this
You
country to this day.
right.
Yeah, I got a chance to see them fight years ago when I was in Japan. So, but it's a whole different style. Leave it it's a whole different style. It's more traditional and things like that. It's not. It's no really like a point system and things like that. It's got a lot of tradition behind it. Champa, leave it. I'm not gonna say it again, dude. I promise you, I'm not.
Go ahead. If you gotta check them, man, go check them real quick, man.
Oh yeah, trust me. Look. They know I don't fuck around. He's out here by himself. I took the girls in. They were out here fighting. But
Yeah, my dog's out here chilling right now.
Tosa, it is again the one of the better dogs against the American Pit Bull Terrier that held its own. Um, but, the Dogo, hell, let's get because I'm on that. I'm addicted, but I don't know anyway. You compare the American
I think it's
um,
your earbud skipping, fam. It's like
can you hear me?
it's like making a skipping noise. It's still doing it a little bit. I can hear you, but it's like making that skipping noise in between you talking.
Oh, real quick.
It might be me. I might have extra tabs and shit. Unmute your mic. Hold on. I got you right now. Hold on, I got you right now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, better, a lot better, a lot
Okay,
better.
I just took the headphones off. I just turned the Bluetooth on. I've
Okay.
American Bulldogs, and I've only had two. Both of them were Johnson D. Johnson. I mean, they're athletic. They're strong, even when you don't do anything with them. I mean, I remember this dog as a puppy pulled a king size mattress off my bed while I was at school. Um, so they're definitely
Yeah.
powerful dogs, but intelligence wise, I can't compare them to Oppressor. They're way smarter.
Yeah.
Bulldogs are
I've
more like about
I've
brute.
owned one. I owned one American Bulldog.
You know, they're about brute force. Those American Bulldogs are. You know, they're not really calculating. In my experience with them, I'm sure some American Bulldog breeders might differ with me, and they have every right to because I've only owned a couple of them for a short amount of time. So I can only speak on what I had. But they were more about brute force rather than calculating and thinking. So that would be one reason why I wouldn't compare it to Oppressa. Tosas, I've only seen them from a distance, but I do know a bit about the breed. But I guess I don't know. I didn't really take to the Tosa because I haven't seen anything exceptional with them to really even kind of compare to the Pressa. But that is a good question, and I'm glad he asked that because that just is going to prompt me because I got a Tosa profile coming up. So as
Okay.
I'm doing that, and he asked me that question, I will definitely be looking for similarities because that's what I do in a lot of my profiles. If I see any similarities between breeds and backgrounds, I definitely point them out.
That's dope. That's dope, bro. So dealing with your program right now, what is pretty much the constitution to your yard based off you going to the island where the dog originated from and what you have right now, present day?
Well, like I said, one, I keep my dogs to the Las Palmas standard because that's what I like. Um, so that's what they documented. So that's what I stick with. So when I'm looking for a dog, and there's very few people that I deal with, like Chompa, my male that's out here now. I've known his breeder for a long time, and so when he called and told me that he had them, I bought two of them. I had his brother here, but his brother just wasn't cutting it, so he got called from the program. Um,
Right.
but I'm looking for a dog that definitely exhibits the original personality. So yeah, you are going to see some dog aggression, but you are going to see some man aggression as well. I don't need a fighting dog, but that's a part of the breed's makeup. So if I don't see that, I would be more worried if I had a dog that wasn't dog oppressive, that wasn't dog aggressive, because I'm just like, that your nature is to be dog aggressive. Um,
Right.
so those are things that I look for. Obviously, correct structure. If my presser's got a straight back, well, I'm not going to buy a presser with a straight back because that's just not a part of the standard. The rump is slightly raised, so that's what I'm looking for. But obviously, you don't want something that's just out of whack. So it's got to be
Right.
structural. So good bone is extremely important to me. All my dogs have good bone. Even my smaller bitch, she's got good bone because you don't want to be breeding big bone dogs to small bone dogs. You're going to decrease your bone size if you do that.
Right.
So I try to make sure that all my dogs complement each other. Color is not a huge thing to me. Like I said, I'm more so about the intelligence. I like to watch my dogs and put them in situations that make them think to see if they can get themselves out of it. And I don't really like to do a lot of talking to my dogs if I don't have to. If anybody's watched my yard videos, I don't have kennels here. I've never owned a kennel. I've never kenneled a dog. I do use crates for house training, but once they're house trained, that's it. You're in the house or you're outside,
Right.
and you got free roam of the yard. But
Right.
I just don't believe in that, and I'm not knocking people that do that. In my experience, I think that certain things like overtraining and kenneling can make your dog kind of robotic, especially if you're not taking, and this is because some people don't ever take their dogs out of the kennel. I got a
Right.
cousin like that. 80% of his dog's life is in the kennel. You don't know those dogs, and them dogs don't know you. You ain't got no real bond. You know what I mean? He's happy to
You
see you
gotta
because
you
he
gotta
thinks,
you gotta interact with them.
right. Dog's happy to see you because you might have food or water. You know what I mean? So, um, that's one thing that I don't do, but I also make sure that all my dogs are athletic because I want to breed that into my program. I make sure that my dogs are clean, and
Right,
when I say clean, I mean, no eating of the shit and things like that, because you can breed that into your line, man. Your
right.
DNA and
It's
RNA,
trace. It's trace that's passed on.
right? Because your RNA makes DNA, just like genos make phenos. You can't have phenos without genos. You can't have DNA without RNA. RNA is the memory. So
Right,
that passes on to the DNA to become physical.
right,
So if that's what you got in the blood system, then you're gonna see that. You know what I mean?
right,
And so I try to look at every little detail I can. And if I see something wrong, even if, like, let's say I'm getting ready to have a litter with a dog and then she does something that's kind of crazy and then she does it again, I probably, even though I want to have a litter so bad, I'll stop the program right then and there. I got to figure out what's going on because,
right,
like I said in the beginning, and I don't want anybody to take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not breeding dogs for the public. I'm breeding dogs for me. You
right,
know what I mean? If I had the space, enough land, I'll have a tenth of an acre here. I don't have a ton of land. But when I get it, which will be soon, I probably won't be even selling a lot of litters. You know what I mean? Like I'll be keeping stuff, or they'll be going to people that I know. Um, he said,
The
"Does
good
he?"
brother said, yeah, he said, do you recommend the breed, maybe a smaller female for a truck driver? He said
That's an
as
interesting question.
a personal protection dog.
There's a guy that I follow, and he's got a dog named Devora after the Mortal Kombat character. It's called Devora the Truck Presser, and she's on the road with him 100% of the time. And she's a La Foundation dog. Shout out to Rich at La Foundation, and she's a good sized dog, and she's definitely going to hit something. So I wouldn't say, but he also had his passenger seat modified to put her crate in. So it's definitely doable for a Presa Canario. So if that's what you were thinking about doing, because even my sister drives trucks, she was thinking about, doing the same thing, getting one of my pups and taking it on the road with her. So I would say it's definitely doable. They're versatile and they're highly adaptable. I've brought in 2 and 3 year old dogs into my house that had lived in a kennel their entire life, and within a week, you would have thought they were house dogs. Um,
Right.
they're,
It
they're,
don't
they're
take that long to train dogs though,
no,
bro. Like even if you a good dog, man, you feel me? Like a lot of people call me the dog whisperer in my family, bro. Cause I've been training dogs since I was 7 years old. I started breeding my own dogs in 2014. So I always had dogs and always been around dogs. It's just something that was in me, you feel me? It wasn't put on me.
so
So
yeah, it's
dogs could recognize that in people, bro.
oh, for sure. Yeah, dogs are about energy and body language. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of us try to put human terms and make them identify with us. You can't do that. I mean,
You can't.
obviously to an extent because you're human and they're dogs, so you're training the dog, but you can't. A dog is never going to be a human, and a human
No,
is never going to
they're
be a dog.
they're animals at the end of the day, bro.
You know
They're
what I
gonna fucking
mean?
act like wolves. They have a pack mentality.
Right. So there's some things that go on in my yard, like when these dogs get to warring with each other out here. Sometimes I don't step into that, especially if it's the two females, because they're still battling for who's going to be the alpha female. Champa already runs the
Right.
yard, so I don't
Right.
get into that all the time. I sit here and smoke a cigarette, smoke a J, and watch them because they got to figure it out. It's not up to me to figure out who the alpha female or alpha male is going to be.
Right.
That's for them to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I say, oh, I'm gonna, because most people when they pick a dog or any animal in general, I don't care, snake, frog, dog, they're picking it off of what they see and the color. That's how most people pick a dog. Like, for instance, we were talking about my program, right? This is what happens when you come to me to buy a pup. This is how the process goes.
Oh
Um,
yeah, break it down for him, fam.
you tell me what you're looking for, right? And if I have it in this litter, this is one reason why I don't let anything leave my yard before 3.5, 4 months old. Because one, like I said, I need to keep the best dogs to keep improving my line. It doesn't mean that you're getting a shit dog. You're just getting the next best dog. That's what you're getting. So you tell me what you're looking for. I'm listening to you. After we build a relationship, I even feel comfortable that I'm even going to give you one of my pups. I'm listening to you. And I'm going to, let's say I have a litter of 7 puppies. So I'm going to watch these dogs and I'm going to try to find the dog to see if I even have the dog that fits your needs. Because I may call you back and tell you I don't have that dog, not this time, but I can send you to so and so. He's got the dog you're looking for. Um, but let's just say I do have the dog. So let's just say I do have the dog. So maybe I got 3 of the 7 puppies that fit the criteria that you're looking for. So you come to my house to pick a pup, pick a whelp up, right? I got 7 puppies here. Well, 4 of them puppies ain't got nothing to do with you. You ain't even gonna see them dogs. You know why? Because that's not what you asked me for, and I'm here to give you what you asked me for. So what
Right.
happens is I'm gonna bring those 3 dogs out that I think fit what you're looking for. What's up, Dan? And then from there, I'm gonna let you pick from those 3 puppies. Because if I let all 7 of those dogs out, you're gonna pick the dog that's the most eye-catching to you, most likely.
Right.
And you're not gonna get the dog that you asked for. And then you're gonna go and talk shit about me and say I sold you something and I told you what it was and what it wasn't. But
Yeah, but that's what you asked for.
you know what I mean? So that's why I don't just let someone come over and just pick from the 7 puppies or the 5 or the 10 puppies. No, you're going to pick from the 3 that fit what you asked me for, because I don't want you to leave here unhappy.
Right.
That's how I run. That's how I run my yard. I've always done that. I don't never change. I know some people don't like it, but that's just what it is. In order for me to continue evolving what I'm doing, getting to the next level, that's how it has to be for me. And I don't
Hell
not
yeah.
I don't necessarily not what someone else is doing if it's credible. Now I will talk shit about some people if you're doing some dumb shit. I'm not gonna see. I'm an asshole, and I'm not
Hey,
gonna sit
we we
and act
we
like
we,
I'm
we know we know a lot of people out there doing some dumb shit, famo.
right.
Between me and you, we talk about it all the time.
Right. So AZ, what did he say? How did they do? They do great, man. They do good up here. Well, I'm where I get it. It gets even colder. We get a lot of. I live in the mountains, like in the mountains. I always say that a lot, but when people come to see me, they're like, "Damn, son, I didn't know you was out here." Like, yeah, I live in the mountains. Like the mountain.
Hell yeah.
Turn the camera. It's mountains. I live in a tiny hunting town. Everybody here hunts. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
I stay in the town too. You feel me? I'm just not as far out to the outskirts. You feel me?
yeah, bear. Like I said, to give people an idea, like bear come into the town. I could be sitting on my porch and a bear could walk by. I'm in the mountains. You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
I ain't gonna lie. You gonna catch me on with a shotgun and one of my best dogs on the front porch.
So no, they do great up here in the winter, man. I've got videos of them playing in the winter, outside in the snow. Obviously, they don't have an undercoat, so they can't just chill out there. They're not huskies, obviously. But no, they can 15, 20 minutes outside, they're good. Champa, leave it. They're good, man. I didn't have any issues with them in the winter, and I've kept them in other places as well. So
Mando Bully's the good brother got press of Canaros.
yeah, we got those good Canary Island dogs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's one of my good brothers right there, bro. He been showing support since I first started. Yep. Y'all
Yeah,
get over there and check out Mando Bullies, man.
So yeah, that's how it goes. Like I said, when you call me for something. Now with my reptiles, I'm retired from that. It's impossible to kind of do that. It's kind of you pick what
Right.
you know what I mean. Like
Right.
you want a snake, you pick what you want. That's what it is.
Did you ever get rid of those ones you had?
Man, all the stuff that I got at the facility in Cali, it's still there, man. It's hard because I'm so focused on this. Dogs take a
Man,
lot out of you.
man, go ahead and shot that out, man. I know some people that might be interested in them things, man.
But yeah, man, if any of you guys are looking for high-end quality reptiles, let me know, man. If you live in Cali, if you live anywhere in the LA area, I'm not there, but my business partner lives there. So if you're in that area, that can save you some money. I'll give you some deals if you're in house, like they say. But if you're out of state, you can DM me, Dark Silver Canary Prey Dogs, or email me. My info is on the channel, Canis Codex. If you're looking for any, I got all types of boas. I got king snakes. I got what do we have? I got caribos. I got a lot of high end good stuff. Dwarf retics. I got big retics. We got a lot of stuff there. I got about 60 animals for sale. I got a whole list. So
Hell yeah, y'all tap in, man. I'm still working on trying to figure out how I'm gonna get one, bro. I got a lot of stuff that got going on right now. You feel me? So right now wouldn't be the right time for me to buy one. You feel me?
yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of advertising. It's hard, man, because my partner, he's running this restaurant that's on a reality TV show. If any of y'all ever watched the show, The Vanderpump Rules, you might have seen my business partner on there, running one of the restaurants they have in LA. So when he took on that kind of took time away from him and me he's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. So, it's almost impossible for me to really help him physically other than run ads and things like that. Any books? Manuel Curto's book is good. There's a lot of PDFs. I have a lot. Like, you shoot me your email, I can send you stuff. Most of the good books are in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, The Perro de Presa Canario is a good book. Dr. Carl Semenci's book, Gladiator Dogs and Pit Bulls and Other Tenacious Guard Dogs, is a good book to read regarding dealing with the presses. That's about it. It's not a ton of books. There is one book. It's got a little bit of information. It's just called The Presa Canario. I don't know who wrote it. It came out in the turn of the century. It's a white and green book. I owned it. Not a great book, but not a bad book. It's a short book. It's not going into great depth. So if you're looking for like real history and the names of dogs and things like that, some of the dogs that they were matching and them talking about some of the dog fighters and the actual creation, you're going to want to look at Manuel Curto stuff and things like that.
Hell yeah. So have you done like any protection work with your dogs yet? As far as getting them built up like that?
I've never done any protection work with any personal dogs that I've owned. I have done Schutzhund with other people and their dogs, but I've never done it. This boy that's out here right now, he's man and dog aggressive. I didn't teach him that. I didn't even try to refine it. It came naturally. That's why he's here and his brother's not, because this dog saved my life and I had both of them together. His brother was literally looking the other way. Some dude just
I remember you telling me the story.
They were only 5.5 months old at that time. He didn't hesitate. You know what I mean? He'd only been with us for a month at that time. He didn't hesitate to jump in front of that dude and start, doing his thing.
Even with his brother, bro, when you first got him, he was giving you problems. You want to break that down to the people?
Yeah, he was. Because like I said, I got these dogs when they were 4.5 months old and they had some good size on them. If you want to see how big they were, go to my Instagram page and at the bottom, you'll see some videos of them 4.5 months, 5.5 months old. And you'll think, the way the videos are shot, when Barris was 4.5 months old, Barris was 68 pounds, Champa was 57 pounds. So there's always been a gap between them. And we had Champa first. And then a week later, I went back and got Barris. I should have just got them both right then and there. But I wasn't really planning on doing any breeding, to be honest with you. I just wanted a Presa, and he had what I wanted. You know what I mean? And I knew I wasn't going to get it from anybody else. So, I jumped on it. And then, I grabbed his brother. So I brought his brother home a week later. And upon getting him back here, I brought him in the yard. I had to pull him because he wouldn't walk. Took him out the truck, pulled him into the backyard, and then I went and let Champa out. And generally I have yard birds here, ducks and chickens and things like that. I don't have any right now. I generally do. But they just kept fucking my porch up. So they got processed and fed to the dogs.
But that's how it goes, brother. That's how it goes.
But yeah, so I got him here. I let Champa out, obviously reintroduction. It had only been a week, but in dog time, that's a long time. A week, a day for a dog that's a long time for a dog, man. People don't understand.
Let you take a puppy from the mom dog and you try to bring that puppy back a week later. That mom dog's not accepting that puppy back into the family.
Yeah, most of the time. Sometimes, yeah, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen you bring puppies back and then they start fighting with the parents. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but so yeah, he's in the yard, they're playing. And so I'm like, all right, well, it's time to eat. So let's go in. Let's go eat. Champa, no problem. He goes in the house. Barris don't want to come. So He still had a choke on. Yeah, they definitely are. He had his choker on, and it's so funny that they call that a choke chain because, and just to get off topic a little bit, so it's funny they call it a choker or a choke chain because the collar was designed for the rings, for the links to clink through the rings to make your dog pay attention. It was never
Right,
designed to choke the dog.
right.
It's just what happened.
Just to snap the dog out of what it's doing.
And yeah, so when you pull it, it makes that sound. That sing, that's that that sound.
Yeah, that's just to get the dog attention.
And so he didn't want to come in. So I went to reach for the ring and the chain, and he tried to bite me. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. You just got here, no problem. I expect that from a presser because almost every presser that I've had has been like that, especially the ones the ones when I was importing and the early presses that I had. Oh, those dogs were nuts. I had a dog, man. I couldn't even. She got herself out the crate because I couldn't get her out. She ripped through the fucking crate. When I came out there with a pipe, my nigga. You hear me? Like I don't know what you want to do. You know
Yeah,
what
my new fucking Merle pocket, man. This motherfucker, I can't keep him in no cage, bro. Let me just say it straight like that, bro. This fucker busted through my 10x10, and he done busted out of one of the fucking the crates you put inside.
Yeah, you sound like a
inside
champ.
the house.
You
Yeah,
sound like
this
a winner.
nigga, he done earned his way to
Cutthroat.
chaos. Yeah, he earned his way to really release some chaos. I just can't have them unattended in the yard together.
Right.
And chaos tries to challenge him when he barks. Like if he sees somebody outside the yard, if the pocket barks, chaos tries to run up on him from behind.
So
So
yeah, man. So I go back inside. I shut the door. I put Champa in the kennel, and I go back out to get him. And now he's just like he's zoned in on me. He's growling every time I walk close to him. He starts barking ferociously. So I'm like, all right, I got you. I run upstairs. I go grab a towel. I'm like, I'll just throw a towel over your face, pick you up, bring you in the house, see if you'll calm down. He grabbed the towel out of my hand, took the towel from me. So I get the towel back. So now we playing tug of war. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess we just gonna have to get down to the nitty gritty, and we did. And I hurt his feelings. And I used to have some tall bushes in my backyard, but I cut them all down when it got warm. And so he was in between there. It's crazy. When I came back out, my chickens were roosting. They were perching on this dude. One of them was on his head, and one of them was on his back. Funniest thing I ever see.
shit.
And I also bring that up because I hear guys out here talking about presses can't be around animals. Well, presses work around. A lot of presses work farms. And I just proved to you, and I have video. I have meat rabbits here. I breed meat rabbits here. I can show you video of this dog right here, nose to nose with my meat rabbit, no problem. But that's not to say that when we not on this property, he's going to chase every rabbit, every bird, every dog he sees to try to get a hold of it. But like I said, their IQ is so high, he understands that everything on this property is his to protect. This is his yard. You don't kill the ducks. You don't kill the birds. You don't kill the rabbits here. You know what I mean? So, they understand that for sure. Now, obviously, you can make them animal aggressive if that's what you want.
You definitely wouldn't want my big boy on your yard.
No, I'd be mad.
Yeah, he gonna kill every single duck, chicken he could get. I ain't tested him with no rabbit yet. You feel me? But he has been tested with a duck, a goose, and multiple birds. I want to say multiple chickens. Yep, multiple chickens. He didn't clear my neighbor yard out before they moved. Yeah, my neighbor was mad at me. That's probably why they moved.
Yeah, I didn't have that happen before too. But yeah, so I tried bringing Champa back out. I was like, okay, maybe Champa can come out. And this is how smart these dogs are. And I've seen this before. And I'll answer this question in a minute that he got up there. This is how smart they are. So I let Champa back out. Mind you, these dogs are 4.5 months old. I let Champa back out. He sees Beerus in the corner, laying down, looking upset. So he goes over to him. They do their little dog talk. Beerus stands up. They were going to jump me. They run over to me, start barking at me, both of them. So they were going to jump me. So I grabbed Champa real quick. I grabbed him, picked him up, put him in the house, put him in the crate. Boom. So now it's just me and Beerus back out there. So he runs to the other side of the yard. So I said, you know what? I got you. I, I have a bucket of water out here. I tipped the bucket of water over. Food's in the house, so you ain't gonna be getting that. Nope, no water. Left him out here. Huge thunderstorm came through that night. He was sleeping in the crevice under my house window, trying to stay out of the rain. But it rains hard here, and there's a lot of clay in my backyard, so I get a lot of puddles. I've been having to rock it out lately to avoid that. And so I come back out. I couldn't find him, and then I saw him. So he was letting me pet him a little bit, but as soon as I tried to pick him up, he tried to bite me again. So I just left him. Come out the next day, he was waiting for me right here, but with a totally different attitude. I never had another issue with him again like that again after that night. But as far as the rustic presser, it's as long as the DNA test says it's a presser, it's a presser. You know, if you watch my presentation or my battlebred interviews, if you heard me talk before, which I know he has, back in there in the 80s and 90s, those dogs, that's how they looked. Those dogs were 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% white. That was normal for them back then. The standard just said that the dogs shouldn't be any more than 30. Well, one said 20, and then another one said 30%. So that was what and then you got another one that just says, no white at all. You're going to get smacked, dude.
He tried to knock the whole thing over, bro.
Now, that was me. That was me grabbing his muzzle. But, dogs are smart. And when they know that you're not paying attention to them, they start doing all the stuff that they know they're not supposed to be doing. And that's what he's doing now.
Hell yeah. So one of my good brothers said, he said, first press I ever seen was a farm reverse brindle.
Yeah, I got a reverse brindle here.
Yep. And
yeah, my bitch, I just took
Dan G said they band dog be opening the doors. That's becoming a problem.
Oh yeah. You're gonna come home. You're gonna be waiting on the porch for you one day. They ain't opening any doors that ain't halfway open. Only doors they can open are their crate doors, and that's just if they're not locked. Other than that,
see, my new pocket mail, he knows he's trying to figure out how to open my front gate. My big boy in the back, he knows how to open my driveway gate.
But yeah, canines in general, man, they're very observant, and they absorb some faster than others, especially when you're dealing with terriers, because they pick up stuff real quick.
Hell yeah, bro. Dogs are very smart, very intelligent, bro.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I look for in my program, as far as what I'm trying to breed as traits. Dogs that are intelligent, that know how to use their minds without me being out here.
Right. Yeah, I try to, obviously, nothing is 100%, but I try to hit all the points, in my program if I can. And I'm real quick. Like I said, I'm an asshole, and I'm kind of shallow. So as soon as I see something I don't like, right. it could be something stupid. As somebody, the normal, the average person would be like, really, you got rid of him for that? You got rid of him because he had one white toenail? Like, yeah, I did.
Hell yeah.
I don't want no white toenails, not even one.
Hell yeah.
But
some people they gotta pay attention to stuff like that, you know what I mean?
But,
it's a reason. It's a reason for something.
Right. I spent a lot of money on animals in my days, a lot of money, and some of that money was spent on trash. I'm not, a person who's afraid to admit it. I got a dog here I can't stand right now. She's not a bad dog. She's just not necessarily what I'm looking for 100%, but I'm going to see what she throws. And, so she may or may not stick around. But yeah, I've spent money on trash before.
Some dogs are just supposed to be used as tools. That's just how it goes, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's how, like I said, unless she throws some fire puppies, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, when you get enough shitty animal, it doesn't even got to be animals. It could be a video. You could buy a shitty video game. You're going to take your time next time before you go buy that next video game. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna, or before you go watch a movie, like, by M Night Shyamalan, he makes shitty movies. So now people know that. So they're like, I don't know if I'm going to check that dude's movie out. You're going to think so before you go spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a dog after you've spent that and got trash, you're going to think about it next time. You know, I've
Yeah,
gone.
you're gonna go do your research.
Yeah, I've gone to yards with the intent to buy a dog, and then when I got there, it wasn't what it was. And you know, I know some people kind of feel bad, so they might buy something anyway. Not me. I'm good. I'm cool, dude. You know, I appreciate the time, but that's not what I thought. You know, it's my money. They're your dogs. It's my money, and until we make that exchange, that's just how it is. So,
Right.
you know, I'm not going to spend money on something that I'm not going to be happy with. But one thing I'm not going to do is if it's my fault, I'm not going to blame the breeder, you know, because we get a lot of that, especially with dogs that come up with hip dysplasia.
Or
People,
rickets.
things like that. People blame stuff on breeders because you wanted the biggest dog. You wanted your 6 month old dog to be 200 pounds. Of course, he's going to have hip dysplasia. Look at all the fat you got on his hips. You know what I mean? Now he's got dysplasia. Now you're going around bad mouthing the kennel to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Oh yeah, his dog's got dysplasia. Da 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 da. Like, did they really have dysplasia, or did you,
Or
or
was it a lack of nutrition or something that you were doing on your back?
exactly? So you know, a lot of guys they won't talk about the negative aspects. You know, in the animal world. Me, I'm not afraid because that's a part of it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'll be honest, and it doesn't. And I don't mean this to sound too arrogant. I haven't had too many fails, but I have had some because you know I learn quick, especially when I got to pay for something out of my own pocket. Like now,
Yeah,
I'm good.
you learn from your
Yeah,
experiences and your failures. You feel me?
like
Trial by tribulation.
the
You feel
shitty
me?
weed man.
Even even when it comes down to paying attention to what you're getting, you feel me? You have to do that research. You feel me? If you
Right,
don't do that research, then that's just gonna come back and bite you in your
right.
ass.
You ain't gonna keep buying weed from a shitty weed man. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna keep giving this dude money and he keep bringing you trash. I
Fuck
mean, if
that.
you do, you know, if you do something wrong with you or you that desperate to smoke, you might as
If
well go get
that if
reports or something.
that shit is not hitting, bro, you is not gonna go get that shit no more. You just
Right.
gonna go find the next better weed man, bro. That got some
Right
shit
now,
that's going
exactly. So you're gonna do a little bit more research. Now you're gonna call
right.
someone like, "Hey, do you know so and so? What's his bud looking like? Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I got some
You
of it
you,
right
you
now.
you blew that shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Hell
That
yeah.
so you're gonna do more research after you get fucked over one time. At least you should anyway. Because if you keep trying to travel the same path to get to a different place, you're only gonna end up in the same place you started at every single time.
Yeah, you're
You know,
gonna be standstill.
it's that's just what it is. So
Yeah.
you know, with this day and age, social media rules and cash is king. So a lot of good dogs get overlooked because you got 30,000 followers and you're not humble. Shouldn't even say humble because I'm not always humble. I used to be, but you know now that I'm in my 40s, I ain't got time for that shit no more. You know, I'm I'm proven. So
Right.
you know, I'm gonna give you what you asked for, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, whether you want to hear it or not. And I expect people to do the same thing with me. You know, especially
Yeah.
when I'm spending money with you.
In my opinion, I feel like it's the best thing to be realistic, bro, and be truthful and honest with people. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, it's gonna get you further.
Right. You know, I think that you know now people use social media as a selling tool, not as necessarily. Oh, I have great dogs for sale because you go on any who what tell me one page that say they got shitty dogs on it. Like, yeah, I got such and such American bullies and they all trash. Come get one. Nobody says that.
Oh no, nobody that see no shit like that, Brody.
You know what I mean? Nobody says that. But the same guy could have a yard full of dogs with hip dysplasia, skin issues. He gonna tell you these dogs are healthy for two reasons. Because one, he's trying to recoup what he spent. And two, he's got to get rid of these animals. You can't keep them all. It's keeping. I can keep 100 snakes in a room. You ain't gonna keep a litter of 10 that you can't sell. You're gonna be on Craigslist trying to sell them dogs. You're gonna be them dogs gonna be on Craigslist for $300 until you've given them away to somebody
On
because
everything.
you killed your reputation. Um, you know, and once you do that, it's kind of like in the culinary industry. And I say this because I used to be a chef. You mess up in the restaurant industry bad enough, you'll never work in another kitchen again unless you own it. And even then, you might not get any business. They're like, oh, ain't that so and so that served so and so the raw chicken and killed his grandmother? Yeah, I'm cool. And he could be serving
Yeah.
ice cream. He could be serving nothing but ice cream, and they still won't come get it. You know, because
Fuck that shit.
you ruin your rep. You ruin
Yeah,
your
once you ruin your reputation, that's it, bro. Your shit dead.
so you know, and social media is it's huge now. You know, it's not who has the great all around dogs, is who's got the most followers. And I'm not there are some good people that got a lot of followers, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people that 100,000 followers, and then every time somebody buys a dog from them, it's an issue. There was a guy, a Pressa breeder up in Canada. He's charging $10,000 for a puppy. He don't want to answer no questions. He don't send you the papers. Then when you get the dog, it's got all kind of health issues, and you contact him, and then he blocks you. This dude, 20, 23, 24,000 followers, till they got his page shut down. It's funny. He just added me the other day, and I didn't even accept the request. I'm like, you can't be serious. But that's and I got homies in Canada that I talk to on a daily basis. I'm getting ready to do another reptile interview for a Canadian reptile channel on the 27th. So y'all tune in for that, part 2 to another interview. But he told me, because he wanted a Pressa. So he told me, he was like, this guy? And he sent it to me on this site.
Stop.
It's called Kijiji, which is basically like the Canadian Craigslist. So now this is where dude is forced to sell his dogs on this Craigslist-like website because he can't really do anything on Instagram because he's ruined his rep. Everybody knows who he is. And the last thing, like I said, you want to do is to be stuck with a litter of dogs. You're going to run out of money unless you just balling like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest, bro. I ain't about to keep a whole litter of 10 puppies unless I got some land. If I got some land, then yeah, I might sell 1 or 2 of them dogs as prospects. You feel me?
Right. Yeah. Like I said, if I had a couple acres, man, I would probably be keeping litters till they were 6-7 months old. Or if I had something that was that great, you're not going to get 100% great dogs in any litter. Even though people will tell you, I got the whole litter is fire. I'm not saying you got a bad litter, but every puppy is not going to be top dog. You know what I mean? And that's where all those sales gimmicks come in. Those, like see me, and it's very, Samaj and 42. It's hard for me to talk without sometimes offending people, and I'm not even really trying to offend them. Like, I could be talking about somebody directly, but then the situation may apply to somebody else, so they get mad. I'm like, dude, that's not you're taking it the wrong way. But it's like when I talk about terms like pick of the litter and runt and things like that, because I don't use those terms. I think that those are sales gimmicks, but people do use them. And if you use them, that's fine. I don't use them here because I've seen runts turn into the best dogs, and I've seen so-called pick of the litters be the worst dog. But I've also seen a guy have a litter of 10 puppies, and every dog that left that litter was pick of the litter. So you and 9 other people, y'all all got pick of the litter because it's a sales gimmick, So, I try to be very, very technical and straightforward and asshole-ish in my approach. What do you mean? He said he just got into reptiles. Yeah, you just got in and I just got out, man. I'm over 3 decades with reptiles, man. I started first reptile business. I started when I was 14 in high school, and then 18 I started importing. And then I started doing some traveling, Indonesia, other places like that, studying animals. But reptiles. Now, I always say there's no money in dogs if you're doing it right, but there's definitely money in exotics, especially reptiles, for sure. And it's if you apply your canine program to how you breed your reptiles, man, you'll have a hell of a reptile program, because that's just not something that they do in the reptile world. It's very lacking. But the reptile community, I'll tell you this off top, mine over bullies. It's mine on bullies. It's the most toxic community of all the animals, of all the animal communities out there. The reptile community is extremely toxic. A lot of race is now coming into play. It's sexist. If you're gay or whatever, that's an issue. If you're a woman, that's an issue. If you're black, that can be an issue. It's a lot of unnecessary drama for a community to be so unstructured, for them to be doing as much backward bullshit as they're doing. They had, there's not a lot of insurance available, and these animals cost way more than dogs. You see some snakes going for 50, 60, 70, all the way up to $100,000 for one snake, and you can't even get it insured. If it dies the next week, you're out of $100K, and that's just what it is. Nobody's going to reimburse you. They're not even going to care. So you definitely got to be careful dealing with the reptile community, because, I can just show you pictures that my clients have sent me. My clients are mad that I'm out of the reptile world. They're like, man, I bought a snake from so-and-so and it arrived dead. I'm like, yeah, of course it did. that's so and so. That's how he does it. You know what I mean? Like, or
Hell
it's
yeah.
not Nido. You know, these guys don't want to health test their animals or anything like that. So, you know, you definitely got to be careful who you buying from.
Yeah, go ahead and let the people know something you got going on right now. Let them know, like, as far as you got any pups coming, breeding you got going down. Go ahead and let the people know.
Hopefully, before the year is out, I'll have a litter between Champa and Chilai, my reverse brindle bitch. Uh, we'll see, depending on how this heat cycle comes into play. But that's what I got going on now. And then maybe the following spring after that, I'll do a Champa and Mystique litter. And then from there, it'll just be on into line breeding. Because that's not something that's done a lot with the presses. So hopefully that's what's coming up before the end of the year, that I'll have a litter. Hopefully it's not a huge litter. You know, I'm hoping for 6, maybe 7 puppies at the most. I don't want anything any bigger than that, because all these dogs came out of litters of 13. And then Mystique is a twin, and Chilai had twins in her litter. So I grabbed them. I got Chilai first, and then I grabbed Mystique because she was a twin. So I'm stacking my genes like that. So her having that in her DNA, and then her being a twin, I'm gonna have some twins at some point in time. Like I said, I just like to stack my genes like that. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, man, that's the best way to go, is just be a keeper and just find some good reptiles. But
You can still hear me, Famo?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I had a call coming in.
You
But
good.
go ahead. What's something that you would tell somebody young trying to get into dogs before they even jump into them?
Well, I'll probably tell you don't, but if I told you to do it, obviously, you know, make sure you're not trying to live beyond your means. And when I say that, make sure you're not trying to breed big dogs in small spaces. You know, for one, make sure you got the space and the time to work these dogs, and you're not going to be keeping them in a kennel, and that you can provide a proper diet, and you're going to research that diet, and, you know, make sure that, you know, you're keeping even that diet exciting for them. You're keeping the training exciting for them, but not overdoing it to make your dog robotic. You know, you don't want your dog to lose his personality. You know, another thing I would say is definitely, obviously, always do your research and talk to as many people as you can about certain breeders before you drop that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever $1,000 that they may be asking for. Be careful importing. You know what I mean? Because, you know, most times once that dog is here, it's here. You know, a lot of them guys, you know, if they're doing you dirty from overseas, they cut you off. Like, that's it. You know, unless you're going to fly over there, you know, that's just what it is. So definitely, you know, I like to keep a notebook, you know, of what I'm doing, you know, and how I'm doing it. I've done that for years, so I can always go back and see if I missed something or where I might have went wrong. You know, make sure your dogs are compatible physically and mentally. You know, like I said, make sure that you're feeding your dogs according to their breed and according to the work that you're doing with them. You know, not just, you know, giving them a high price food, and, you know, then you don't really work the dog, and then you're wondering why the dog's destroying your house. Well, you don't do nothing with him, and he's got all this great energy that you feed him from this high protein diet. You know, now he done chewed your steps up, tore your couch up. You know, like I said, just make sure you got the time, make sure you got a little bit of money set aside, and don't come into it looking to make any money. You're gonna make back what you spend in, and every once in a while you might get a little bit of profit. But if you're doing it right, and that depends on what level you're doing it on, like if you're going to the shows and things like that, don't expect to make $1. You might not even break even, because you got gas money, you got plane tickets, you got to pay for passports for you and for your dogs. Yes, your dogs have to have passports. If you're going back and forth with them, showing them internationally, or even traveling within the states, and you got to find the hotels to let you keep the dogs. You know, then dog
And
food.
the thing that I'm gonna give y'all a tip on that: get your dog registered as a service dog.
And yeah, you can definitely do that. Get you, well, not just and not just service. You can do service or ESA, emotional support dog.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
To
Emotional
get
support dog.
to get to get free flights and things like that, or discounts. So yeah, definitely that's something that you can do. I've done that before. When I lived in a condo, they didn't allow dogs, but I wanted a dog, so, you know, I got that ESA letter. They couldn't. My neighbors were pissed too.
All you gotta do is give them your registry number. They can't tell you nothing.
So, but
They
yeah,
can't,
man.
They can't disqualify you for the place. None of that, bro.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my advice, man. Come into it with the passion and don't let the passion die. Don't worry about what another motherfucker is doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't try to, I gotta have a litter. I gotta have a litter. Man, I gotta get these litters. Man. Everybody's having litters. Like, yeah,
Just
everybody
take your time. Take your time.
Everybody's having litters, but I'm gonna tell you right this: majority of these litters of all breeds is these days trash, man. It's hard to get a good dog these days. I'm telling you, it's hard. Looking good and being good are not the same thing.
I know you heard this saying before. Good dogs is where you find them.
Yeah, that's true. And it's expensive to be cheap. Get insurance on your dogs, man. I got my dogs are tied to my homeowner's insurance, and they got health insurance. You know what I mean? And that stuff comes in. It's $80 a month for all 3 dogs. Total. $80 a month total. That's, man, you spend thousands of dollars on these dogs. Get insurance on these dogs, man. You know what I mean? Because
we at that hour and 15 mark. Go ahead and let them know.
Man. I'm sure I'll be back.
We definitely gonna do a part 2 to this, family. We definitely gonna do a part 2. Go ahead and let them know where they can find your channels, man. Let them know where they can find you on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
And definitely let them know. Definitely let them know about the videos that's about to drop.
So yeah, I got the this really quick. What just came out? I just did a band dog profile. Before that, I did the Pampas Argentino profile. That's a super rare breed right now. There's none in the States. Thinking about grabbing one. So that profile is out. And let me say this. I'm the first person to translate that English, that information into English and make a video about it. So you saw it first on the Canis Codex. The Dogo Argentino profile drops tomorrow. I got a Cimarron profile out. A lot more interviews coming. Canis Codex on YouTube. Kanis Kodex. Dark Xilver Canary Prey Dogs. Remember, the X is in place of the S for Dark Xilver. That's where you can find me. You can email me at darkxilver LLC20@gmail.com. If you want PDFs or, any kind of consultations, I do resume service. If you live in certain areas, I can do job placement. I can show you how to get a house with almost little to no money down. Like people can vouch for me to tell you that I've shown. That's how I got this house. Very little money down. So if you're looking to make them kind of moves, or you're interested in stacking gold and stacking silver, like that's what I do. Any kind of investments I do. I don't just do animals. I do a lot of stuff. So and I like to help people. So that's where you can find me, and that's what I got going on, man. Hey, Samaj, you already know, man. I appreciate you having me on.
I still got to double back to your page and do that part 2 too, famo. So you already know we clicked in. We clicked in, fam.
I fuck with Cali anyway, man. That was, I spent a lot of time out there, man, with y'all wild niggas. But no, man, I really appreciate it. And y'all, like I said, I got another interview coming up on the Animals at Home Canada, and I have an interview on that channel now. So if you haven't seen my reptile interview, Animals at Home Canada, you can hit me up for the link. Or you can find Do Your Reptiles Have Bloodline Papers. And then Battlebred Canine. I got a 3-hour interview on Battlebred Canine for the Press of Canario. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Salute to the good brother. He just barely got into the building, but we up out of here, family. Make sure I get over there to the good brother Devin or Bullies, man. Shout out to his channel, man. That's one of my good brothers right there. You feel me? We tapped in, you feel me? We out this thing, man. I'm gonna slap this track. And y'all already know, man. Go ahead and mute your mic, famo.
Handed our purse ever since a youngster. Real nigga first, and then here comes the hustler. Casket, same color as the hearse, found him in the dust. Respect the next man's boundaries, watch you got a munch. Mama said family and friends is the first to fuck you. Oh, you some ends and they tryna duck you. Secret VS, shoot out like the ruck. Chopper get the kicking like it's gin and apple pucker. Grab the fuck the other side in the LAW. Murder on my mind, Y&W. The chopper get the kicking. Chopper get the kicking. The chopper get the kicking. The chopper get the kicking.
I almost wish you would. We'd have the biggest laugh of our lives.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Am I?
You've told me quite a lot tonight.
What of it?
Suppose I tell them how you followed her to that studio in Chelsea and watched them cooking spaghetti. Wouldn't that ring a bell?
Oh, it certainly would. You prove you didn't. You certainly can't prove I did. It was a straight case of your word against mine.